This playthrough is rated M for mature.
Well, now that we finished another mission, you know what time it is. That's right, talk to everyone again. Greetings and salutations, viewers. While we're back here with another episode of Shadowrun Hong Kong. In the last episode, we finished a long episode of dealing with the murders from the Wampoan Elders and found out that the Wampoan Elders had killed one of their own to keep with this, they wanted to basically keep racking in the money, and one of their own was preventing them from doing that, so they hatched a plan to kill her off with the help of a samurai ghoul, but they didn't pay the ghoul or tried to kill him, and so we basically put the elders to shame and hired the ghoul to work for our own. Yes, he did kill Magpie and those elders, but he was the instrument of the elders, destruction or hatred or whatever you want to call it, so they're both to blame, but the elders were the ones who paid the hitman, all that. So, but anyway, like all missions, we're going to talk to everyone in town and see what they have to say. Eventually, people will have stop having stuff to say, at least until major events occur. So it does, because you get so many missions and they only have so much dialogue for it. But we're going to keep talking to everyone until now. If you don't care about talking to everyone, that's fine. Really, the only people you have to talk to are your companions and the lady at the magic shop. They're important for story purposes, but everyone else you could avoid doing it. It's just to do it to get like little story blips and stuff like that. So, oh, and I believe everyone has new equipment now that you can buy as well too. So, 10-armed Ambrose. Ambrose looks up from what appears to be a housework drone on the operating table. Scrub up and get me the defibrillator paddles, Wiggles. I'm installing some headers on this guy's liver, and now we're going to shock him back to life. Do you know the whole electrical paddles, apparently that actually isn't very effective. I think they said only 20% of cases where you actually pull out the paddles actually bring someone back to life. Usually at that point they're pretty much dead. Like in TV shows and stuff like that, they show it always working, and yeah, according to a lot of medical professionals, that's not the case actually. So just thought I'd mention it. But anyway, Ambrose burst into laugh. But seriously, hand me the lube. What can I do for you today? Have you been having dreams, Ambrose? Nightmares? Nightmares? Well, Wiggles, that's my life. I curl up with a bottle of vodka and a handful of pills every night. But if you mean the toothy hunting horror dream, yeah, I've been having it. Shit, it's just one more nightmare. Ambrose drops his voice and leans forward a little in his wheelchair. Let me tell you, though, I've been doing a brisk business in sleep aids. Just today, someone asked me for some ketamine. Ketamine, that stuff is horse tranquilizer. What the hell is it that made them think of that? Can you think of any medical reason we'd all be having the same nightmare? Nope. Even if we were all doing something similar intensively, it shouldn't happen. Our experiences are all too different. I've heard of mages and shamans who are somehow connected to each other sharing dreams, but that's all. Ambrose waves his hand dismissively. Hell, what do I know? I'm not a doctor. I'm just a guy who subscribes to Psychological Modernista. If you want to know about dreams, ask Crafty. My formal diagnosis is that something fucking weird is going on here. Can I have some ketamine? Hell no. If I had ketamine, I'd take it myself. He chuckles. But seriously, if it's not something that's good to self-prescribe, you eat a bunch of ketamine and it's not going to make you feel well rested. Thanks, Ambrose. No problem. Just doing my part to tamp down the crazy. You were a Hong Kong Shadowrunner. I was. He looks down at the remnant of his body, scarred and dismembered. I sure don't look much like one now. Ambrose yawns and stretches, straining his legs, stumping scarred arms in opposite directions. Man, that feels good. So there's a particular way this kind of conversation goes. I don't know if you're familiar with it, but you have a couple ways you could say it. If you have extra dialogue, if you have security or Shadowrunner. Shadowrunner, you'd say, yeah, we orbit around each other for a while, then tactically agree in only the vaguest terms. But anyway, since we have security, I'm going to say, I presume we share useful intelligence washed of incriminating data. That's a damn fine idea. Listen, I'm circumspect about my past, and you're a new active runner, so I don't want to know any of your story. It's all a liability to me. Ambrose props himself up painfully and leans forward a little. His living eye has an intelligent gleam to it. So let's make this conversation useful. I'll cut the BS and give you some down low on Hong Kong from an expat runner perspective. In return, you don't dig for my job list. Deal? Sure, why not? Rock solid. Hong Kong's a good lily pad for a derby crasher like yourself, Wiggles. The shadows are deep, the money flows, it's friendly foreigners, and there's no real government. The whole place is run by corporations and syndicates. However, as fresh meat off the boat, you got to decide who you want to be. Foreign runners follow 3 career paths in the Kong. They assimilate, they burn their bridges, and they get out fast, or they die. If you're a short timer, you can be as violent and splashy as you want, but a Waldo arm swings over his shoulder and points emphatically at you with its claw. If you're in for the long haul, learn the local arts, discretion, restraint, respect. Get that long-term face and don't embarrass people. You could say that for any place in the world when you think about it. So kindly's keeping us around for our untouchable work, huh? Yeah, most likely. You're not just deniable, you're disposable. She can hire that out. So this isn't Seattle. Decide who you want to be. Ambrose shrugs, a lopsided gesture with the stump of his missing arm bound in scar tissue. The other thing to remember is that Hong Kong is a real complex place. It's one of the great global cities with enclaves of every major megacore. It's a syndicate town, it's a refugee magnet, and it's Guangdong. At some levels, anything goes here. But Ambrose takes a deep breath and continues in a tone of low appreciation. When in doubt, assume that old Hong Kong tradition rules. I say that a loudmouth bastard be polite, be modest, honor favors, maintain face, give respect, and always treat people's time as valuable. Seriously, how much does that play into Shadowrunning? It might not affect whether you take a job or whether you shoot back, but it does affect the way you comport yourself. It all just depends on who you want to be in the Kong. Ambrose takes a big breath and sighs contentedly. I found a nice little piece. If you survive, maybe you can too. And you do sure seem like a survivor. People know who I am, but only in the network. Kindly runs this neighborhood like a separate country. You paddle a boat across the canal, and no one's ever heard of me and never will. Ambrose suddenly stops himself as if he realizes what he's saying. He finishes lamely. Anyway, it's private. You're not one of men, are you, Ambrose? There ain't no paper out on Ambrose Rakanatsky, if that's what you're asking. I'm clean as a whistle. Well, that's my wisdom. Ambrose breaks into a chuckle. Wait, what am I saying? My wisdom is you can never be too low profile, too lawyered up, or too well armed. You're pretty banged up. Why haven't you installed some bionic limbs? Ambrose taps his temple with one of his only remaining fingers. Because I'm already chromed to the gills. I don't look it, but I've got a full suit. Quad jacks, known soft, radio, skill wire, tactical computer, whole bunch of rigger wear. He lifts his dirty t-shirt, revealing a pair of tubes emerging from his side, running down into the wheelchair. Check it out, I've got an artificial liver in my chair. I want to keep my last essence. I've come to like my humanity. I don't want to turn into one of the Walking Dead. If you lose your essence in this world, for those who aren't aware, you basically become a robot. For all intents and purposes. The Walking Dead. Oh, come on, you know the name right. The Walking Dead, toasters, chromounts. I don't want to be one of those lug wrenches who cyber themselves to within an inch of their lives and stop feeling normal emotions. I know what you mean. I've had friends like that. Then you get it. I don't want to be like that, and I'm real close to the line. Ambrose scratches himself ostentatiously with a robotic arm. Listen, I like talking about my chrome more than the next guy, but not right now. Besides, it's kind of a personal subject. You looking for something today? Show me your services. Sure thing. Tune up or spare parts. I don't think, let's see, medical supplies. Yeah, it has gold trauma kits now, which will revive you at 50% HP instead of the 25 as before. You can now buy advanced medikits too, which give you 20 HP plus whatever you have in the biotech skill. Also, he has new cyberware, just general stuff, like better armor, stuff like that. Since I'm not playing anyone like that, it doesn't affect me, or I'm not using it. But you know, just to let you know, that he has whole new equipment. So buy whatever is good for your build or whatever you're making. So if you're melee, you might buy armor and like maybe melee weapons. If you're ranged, maybe do like auto attack, or accuracy increase, stuff that like that. So it just kind of depends on what. And obviously you can only have, and this little list here shows you like what parts you can actually build into. And if it's full, then it means you have to replace the part, and you can't sell your old parts back. So you lose that money. So keep that in mind when you're buying parts for yourself if you're playing a samurai character. In game, there's really nothing that happens if you get your essence really, really low. Your character doesn't change, but you can never make your essence 0 in the game. So keep that in mind too. But yeah, your dial doesn't change if your essence is like super low. They didn't really factor into that. So Frederick Hi-Fi stands stolidly by the club door, his arms folded across an impossibly large chest. He eyes those entering and leaving the club like a god might look down from Olympus, and he smiles while doing so. Hey, Wiggles, been hearing more about you? My ears have been burning. I've actually seen that happen. A little out of fluid and whoosh! But that's another story entirely. I wanted to know about those rumors. I've heard you might have killed some guy, or maybe a couple dozen guys. Maybe even that you're a terrorist. Not sure that one fits, but you do look like a heavy hitter. I'm a lover and a fighter. Club 88 caters to both. And you're in the right company with me. You know that they call me the Untouchable, never taken so much as a scratch. Of course, my snot brother says it's because people are afraid to hurt me, else they might lose face with our parents. As if that would ever stop some of these punks, am I wrong? Not a scratch. He pulls up his taut t-shirt, revealing a thick layer of form-fitting body armor below. Of course, things that get stopped by this stuff don't count as scratches. Handled some rough customers, have you? It's what I do. Think about it inside. Think about it. Inside, my brother sells the kind of things that would make a Buddhist monk turn psychotic. And then in back, my ma is selling enough firepower to blow the roof 6 times over. In other words, we sell petrol and matches, and yours truly is the firefighter. This firefighter ain't never been burned. Not once. Pretty impressive, what? You just let me know if you're needing some additional muscle. You can call Mr. Untouchable to get the job done. How much do you bench press, Frederick? I don't bench press. I do dumbbell presses. They're more functional. The bench press artificially stabilizes things too much. I don't know if that's true. I actually don't know much about the weightlifting world. I just do basic exercise to make sure I don't get overweight. I think I'm at what my weight is for my build is actually pretty much there. So I was starting to gain some weight years ago, but I've long since put that back under control. So didn't take much either. But to answer your question, when do I bench? I'm maxing around 700 kilograms. He grins confidently. That's double the world bench press record for unmodified humans, by the way. Tell me more about your family. You may think I'm oppressive, and sure, my brother Callum and my ma both work to keep this place afloat, but people don't realize things about my ba. He's not just some old sailor. You want to know the secret? He was a pirate, one of the very best. Over 20 years at sea, and he was never caught. Untouchable, just like me. You ask him about it, and he'll deny it. I'm sure he's made enemies over the years. Gotta play it smart. Kept his past a secret, but I figured it out a long time ago. He's a great man, my ba. That's why I gotta be strong, to live up to his example. I'll leave you be. Yeah, so he was a pirate, not just a standard fisherman. You thought it was a bit odd. Why he'd be, after a certain point, be willing to give up that lifestyle of it. You think he just could be just a fisherman, but nope, he was a pirate, that's why. A pirate's life for me, yar. Henry Hi-Fi put putters into the back of the club like a great hulking ghost. Despite his size, he goes largely unnoticed by the club's clientele. It's as if they all have a blind spot to which he is happy to reside. Why do you insist on chatting like this? Love you too, Henry. I'm sorry, it's just unexpected, even unprecedented. Most people leave me be. They don't know me, except maybe my name. They certainly don't know what I do here, so they may have no cause to speak with me. Some of us prefer the anonymity. Well, I don't know that I prefer it, but I've gotten used to being the forgotten one in this place. Ermine and Callum are the faces of our business. Freddy is the face of our law, so to speak. I'm no good unless I'm out on the water. Any good stories for your days at sea? Stories. An old sailor always has stories. In my early years working the fishing boats, I swear it seemed like every day we caught something in our nets, stranger than the day before. Sometimes it was cargo, either lost or thrown overboard by panicking smugglers. Sometimes it was a bit of ships wrecked by those super typhoons they say the geomancers cause. We haul up to the occasional body, figure some of them were refugees either from the mainland after the Civil War, the Philippines, or the whole mess, human trafficking and such. But more and more we'll pull up bizarre creatures. Not sure if they were mutants or some kind of awakened critters. The small ones we always threw back as well as we caught them. If you don't know what something is, best to assume it sprays acid or lays eggs in your brain. The big ones. He shakes his head in disbelief. A lot of times we had to cut loose the net. Nets cost a fortune, but when the whole boat shudders and you see 3-meter spines or tentacles or something break the surface, you know it's not worth saving the net. Those were good times, though. Simpler times. It got more complicated as I got older, and as the seas got ever more fleshed out, it's even more complicated now that I'm stuck on dry land. Guessing the skills of a sailor don't really translate to gun or club ownership. No, they don't. I want to be a good provider, but I don't know, just don't know how to contribute anymore. I think about my own father. He was a fisherman long before me. For 40 years, he went out early in the morning and returned late at night. He put food on the table in very little sense. He did that without complaint every week until the day he died. That's providing. That's being a good husband and father, as far as I'm concerned. My father wouldn't have lasted a day in this life of mine. The world's just moved on for what he knew. What I knew. I miss those simpler times. You and me both, my friend. It happens a lot when you get older. You wish things were simpler, but things get complicated as you gain age. So, the most immediately noticeable thing about this orc is his immaculated, maintained red mohawk and the beer he's busily nursing. He fixes you with a mischievous grin as you approach, touching 2 fingers to his brow in a salute. Hey there, Chief. What's cracking? Do I know you? Extending his hand, the orc shakes his head. No, but you might want to. At least if you need a shaman on your crew. Kilmanati, Brad, at your service. Haven't had a chance to get establishing in Hong Kong yet. Maybe you can help change that. How do you know I'm a Shadowrunner? By the way, I think you can hire this guy already, but... Are you kidding me? Everyone around here knows about you. I guess that you don't get a lot of foreigners who move in and immediately start cozying up to the local yellow to straw scandal. The rest of us have to show up here and hope somebody needs a hard gun. What kind of shaman are you, Kill? The kind of wins a shotgun and a penchant for bad luck. He lets out a roaring laugh and slaps a hand across his leg. Ha! I killed myself. Seriously though, God, it guides me. If you're a shaman with a coyote totem, you can ask him about it, but since I'm not, I can say, what's coyote like? He's happy-go-lucky, willing to take life as it comes. You gotta ride the waves, and the universe that takes care of you, you know? Can't fight what fated to be, but you can bend the rules if you're smart. Coyote likes shamans that are like that, like me. Like most shamans, I felt his call when I was a teenager. I've been running with a local gang trying to scrap together enough money not to starve. One day, we were having a dust-up with the Black Hammers and just felt this force. It welled up in me, and the next thing I knew, the knives just bounced off my skin. Things being what they are, I decided making some real money was in order. I ditched the gang and started hiring myself out to whoever offered the most need. It's all I've ever done, but I'm good at it. You know, awkward to find many better, in fact. No, I think Gobbet's pretty good. Your accent sounds North American. Sure is, born and raised in Federal Way, Seattle Metroplex. Not as bad as Redmond Barons, but still a total hell. I kind of miss the big gray Northwest, but I guess being swamped by monsoons here in the FEZ is pretty similar. Less acid in the rain, though. Why'd you leave? Things were getting pretty heavy for me. There was a big blowout with the Universal Brotherhood and a lot of bad magic going on. I decided it'd be better lay low out here until things calmed down. I think I might be here longer than I expected, though. Cash isn't coming as fast as I'd like. What do you think of Hawaii? Frankly, I hate it. The walled city gives me the creeps big time. Something is seriously wrong with that place, and I don't mean that in it's a slum kind of way. Watch your step if you have to go there. Not wrong, is it? There's something off with the walled city or something in Astral's just sick here. I can't tell what. It's like all that misery, pain is just building on itself. Every misery powers all the other miseries there. I'd say you couldn't pay me to go in there, but you probably could. I'm a sucker for a payday. Talk to you later, Kilminati. Keep safe, okay? You know where to find me. Yeah, we're never gonna hire you, by the way. Sorry. I'd rather put Gobbet on the team. And you have to pay the guy too, by the way. The elder of the two Kai-Fi sons is once again lost in his cups. He watches, bleary-eyed, as patrons pass by him. Something in his expression makes it seem that he resents one another simply by being, you again, decide to make this whole home, have you? Be it ever so humble. Humanity has no place around here. Sit down if you like, I could tell you tales. Tell me a story. You ever hear the one about the Phantom Sailor? They say he was once a good man, provided for his family, loved his wife and children. He spent many lonely days out in the sea, working hard to make their lives better. But the ocean takes its toll. Every time he returned, he came back with a little less of himself until one day, the thing that had come home was just a shell. The mindless body of an old seafarer with his soul still lost at sea. The mind and body call to each other, and one day the sailor will walk down the beach and step into the waves, letting the ocean swallow him whole. True story. I wonder what he's talking about. Tell me about this family of yours. What's to tell? My brother's a meathead, and my parents don't even know or care who I am. They say they care for family first, but to them, family isn't 4 people under a roof. It's some abstract concept. It's the name that matters to them. The Kai-Fi name. That's family. My mother only cares about the business, and any hint that I want to look for a better opportunity is met with the lectures. And as for Ba, well, he's never been the same since his life went to dry dock. First chance I get, I leave it all behind. Mark my words. Well, more power to you, I guess. I'm actually more interested in your merchandise. Yeah, I don't want to talk to you, but yeah, he just has the same drugs. The mother has new guns as well for those who are playing samurai, or if you want to buy anything for your companions. You can't give them other weapons. Usually the game provides decent weapons for your companions, but if you really have the extra money, you could do that. Ermine haggles with the dwarf over the price of a customized shotgun, sealing the deal with the offer of a size-appropriate bandolier. The dwarf leaves happy, and Ermine slots another black market credit stick in her stash. Welcome back, Wiggles. How can I help you? Business good? Business is booming, as always. Well, what's the wording? As long as there's more than 2 people alive, someone's going to need a weapon to kill that other guy. People like easy solutions, and they'll pay good money for them. Guns are one way, booze and drunks another. This is why we sell what we sell. My son Kellum doesn't understand this. He thinks he'd be happier as some corporate drone, but I've been there, and I can say for certain that's just a longer path to where we are now. It all ends with drinking or sometimes killing. At least we're direct about it. So how'd you end up selling guns out here? Back when my husband worked for Wu Jing, he had a little side operation smuggling weapons right under the corporation's nose. Strictly small time and barely worth the risk, but it brought in a little extra money, which we desperately needed. But Henry was never very good at brokering the deals. He hated that part of the business. Didn't care to haggle, always leaving money on the table. We fought about it often, and one day he told me to handle it if I cared so much, so I did. As it turned out, I was much better. I'd worked in the business world before the boys were born. I knew how things must be done, so I began to make it all the deals, and I secured the product. I found the buyers. In time, we didn't even need Henry to babysit the shipments. Our influence had grown so strong, and now we run everything safely from dry land. What's the problem with Callum? There's no problem, so as long as he remembers his place is here. There are too many ideas in that boy's head, too much ambition, and ambition like that never leads to a good end. He should be happy with what we have built for him. He is the eldest and so very smart. One day he'll take control of the club and all of its business, but he felt trapped here. He wants to be free. The irony is that his idea of freedom is to work for a corporation. I know from experience there's nothing further from the truth. They don't call you wage slaves without good reason, but here we have true freedom. We can make our own way. I wish he realized this. I try to make him understand, but it always seems to drive him further away. I worry that if I try too hard, I'll lose him to his ambitions. And it's the same. Children rebelling against their parents. It's common, so it's just how it is. Let's see what you have. And yeah, she just has whole new guns, machine guns. So buy whatever is appropriate for your build. So I don't really have any specific suggestions. Usually just take whatever does the most damage. Really, that's usually how it is. Yeah, we got some new armor as well. I'm not gonna buy anything yet for my guy. So when was the? I don't think in all my recordings for these games, I don't think I've ever played a straight up fighter character or samurai. I always play like either a physical adept or something that doesn't really use all those guns. So I never really get to take advantage of it in my playthroughs. I always play something else. I think it just makes it more interesting. But you know, hey, to each his own. However you want to play the game. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention everyone gained a level, but I'll do that later. After a mission. It's after so many missions. It's not after specific missions. It's when you do so many that your characters all gain quote-unquote levels. Shin is busily engaged in conversation with someone on the other end of a video call. The other individual appears to be a tremendously handsome elf wearing an immaculate and undoubtedly pricey custom suit. Shin doesn't appear to have noticed you. I'm just saying, if the customer's office gave me any more crap about importing those tiger snakes, I'm going up to creek without a paddle. The elf nods, tilting his head back with a mischievous grin. Leave it to me. I have some friends in the customs house, and between that and their shoddy record keeping, I'm certain I can get your snakes out of quarantine. It'll take a day, maybe 2. If it takes longer than that, it's because someone specifically doesn't like you. At long last, Shin seems to notice you. Hold on, Yang. I'll call you back. Got a customer here. Putting down the comlink, Shin bows. Hello again. What can Spider Shin do for you? Who's the good-looking elf? He's my lawyer. Yang. Lawyer, I should say. Since he's another Blue Lantern and is part of the same crew. Shin lifts a thin Chinese sword, turning it over so that the light glitters along the edge. I don't do a lot of things that are illegal, in the strictest sense. It helps to have a good lawyer, you know? Or for most Shadowrunners, getting caught is the end of their career. Well, see, there you go. If you had a good lawyer, there wouldn't be any problems. Shin grins, chin tilted upwards. Save you a world of trouble, man. Most of the time, caught means dead for us. Shin is unmoved by this information. Well, then your lawyers can make sure your inheritance goes to the right people. This one time we had to cause a big fuss and make sure it pointed at the Red Dragon Syndicate. We ran into one of their protection rackets and started causing all kinds of fuss. breaking windows, setting fires, roughing up patrons. Ying told us to wait and got arrested. Problem was, there was a vice squad that really wanted us caught and thrown in jail. We'd embarrassed them a few times already. Shen chuckles quietly. Turns out he used a Decker contact to make sure to swap out a bunch of public recordings so that traffic cameras would conclusively show us somewhere else arriving at the last minute. He also made sure the vice squad that arrested us was cited for failing to file the proper paperwork for a bunch of previous cases. The squad got canned. Got let go. It was a thing of beauty. You getting some new pets in? Shen frowns dourly. They're not pets. They're an investment. I can make anti-venom serums from them, or I can use the raw venom to accomplish tasks that would otherwise be too messy and loud. You do what work for the Red Lotus? When the situation demands it. Normally I work for Godfather Woe, exclusively. Sometimes, though, he asks me to do someone some favor. Shin produces a needle from below the boat's table, casually flicking it off to the side. Glancing over, you see that it's embedded halfway in the metal crate. I solve problems. I never know what the problems will be, so I have an array of tools at my disposal. It's like this. Yes, I can hurt people, but I can also heal them. I learned to heal with my medicine before I learned to hurt. When you learn how the body works, you learn how to break it, as well as fix it. It's like a mechanic in a car engine. If you know how to fix it, you know how to disable it. Show me what you got. And then, yeah, new swords, new weapons, new outfits, new key abilities. So, but nothing for me since I'm not playing a physical adept in this game. So no. Oh yeah, there's the boat. It says Big Texas now, and they changed it from the bolt hole. So for those who are curious, let's talk to Law and tell him about what happened with Wampoa, since he's all enwrapped with the elders there and everything. Yo, Wiggles, welcome back to Palace. You got anything interesting to tell me? He looks at the heap of wearable computers, PDAs, and chip decks on his nearby workbench. Cause I got nothing but fixing the hair curlers and debugging the old lady's PDAs. I swear I'm gonna die of boredom. We don't have any metadata for him, but we can tell him about the ghoul. Your elders hired a ghoul assassin too. I know! Those piss-drinking, pig-sucking... Law erupts into a torrent of livid, awkward profanity, some sort of pidgin of Cantonese and text speak. He catches himself short, pulls himself back together, and clenches his fist. You know whose fault this is? G. She always had it in for Magpie because Magpie was a genius. That turbo-snorting woo-hoo idiot and her lackeys almost destroyed the Wampoa network. He folds his arm across his chest. I hope they string the bones of that morons from the gutters with a bunch of monofilament wire from the blessed auto fab. Law pauses and looks over at you. I've heard all the rumors, but what's the full story? What do you know? We need to port this data out of the whole tribe. You could lie to him, but there's actually a good reward for telling him the truth and the whole truth. So, tell him Law the whole story. He listens in prolonged silence as you lay it out. When you're done, he shakes himself as if awakened from a bad dream. Whoa. Law seems stunned. For real, man? This is gonna go down in tribal lore, Wiggles. Here, this is a cred stick I keep on hand for people who have special information. Take it, you earned it. I kinda want to think now. Share files. He gives you 450 new yen for telling him the truth. And if you got tech, he has new, well, like everyone else, he has new decks and programs, but like I said, don't need to buy them. I mean, you could buy them for Isabel, but if you want to ever have extra stuff, so. Anyway, let's leave. All right. Yeah, he doesn't have much because we already did his job, but let's talk to the glaring orc. You're glaring at me, orc. A diminutive female orc regards you with a sharp, challenging look. The fierceness of her expression contrasts snarkily with her sweet, rounded face and neat bob. She flexes her cyber fists. She fires off a rapid-fire approach in a thick Filipino accent. Why are you staring like that? Did anyone teach you manners? She plants her fists on her leather-clad hips and just juts her chin out at you. Relax, I didn't mean to stare. She gives you an unwavering, sidelong glance. You're a stranger on my turf. I expected people to be civil to one another. This isn't your turf, it's a public area, and besides, these streets belong to my boss, Kindly Chang. The orc's eyes narrows. You're not too good at making friends or fitting in the new surroundings, are you? I think we got off on the wrong foot here. She blinks her jaw and clenches. It's alright, I can tell you're a newcomer. I just feel a little protective of my own part of town. The orc looks you up and down, and finally, with a gruff nod, she introduces herself. I'm Rosario Inicio. We're to the members of my community, Cherry Pink. I specialize in transport missions and nanny services, and I occasionally shadow run for walking around money. I can also fry up a mean batch of lumpia but you can't have any unless I like you. Cherry Pink seems like an odd choice for a street name. She glowers at you. It's a bona fide Filipino nickname. Unless you want a mouthful of fist, you'll show respect. You said that you make great lumpia. What is that exactly? Filipino spring rolls, crispy and delicious and full of pork. Whatever pork-flavored substitute is on sale, it's important to be frugal. I want some Lipoa. Everyone wants Lipoa. She puts her hands on her hips. Not everyone deserves it. You said you're a nanny? She nods enthusiastically. Look around you. See these shadowrunners and dealers of contraband at Johnson's? There's a fair number of kids, though they wouldn't shout it from the rooftops. It's usually too dangerous to keep family close. That's where I come in. Shadow nannies are a great idea, and we're bringing my babies into combat situations. The orc raises her chin proudly. I've shuttled kids in and out of war zones. I've gone into hiding with little ones for months on end while their parents had to lie low. I've taught children good manners, hygiene, and the proper use of firearms for over 20 years. Wait, you teach kids to use weapons? Not so different from armies in Africa. Ugh. I show them how to use weapons safely. She dabs a finger at you for emphasis. But then again, it's better to, depending on where you're living at, it's better to at least give them the skills to learn in a controlled environment than just kind of figure it out on their own when you think about it. What's dangerous is not explaining their world to them. The shadows, that is. These kids have to grow up fast. Weapons training is appropriate when you're living in a smuggler's den. It makes perfect sense to me. I'm really glad that someone finally gets it. The gut reaction from most people is deny the danger. The rest seems to think that children are too immature to step up to the challenge. They usually are. Me, I trust my kids. I don't underestimate them, and they never let me down. How did you go from babysitting to running the shadows? Her cheeks flush. Well, I used to take care of the children of a Wujiang bigwig up in the peak. Turns out she was siphoning corporate funds to support both the gambling addiction and an extravagant lifestyle. She got sloppy, and I stumbled across some pretty damning documents as I was tidying the house. I couldn't unsee them. Much as I wished it, I started to fear for my life. She was growing desperate, erratic, and so I so I ran. What's happened in the Philippines that you can't go back? The Japanese imperial state happened. Supposedly they've been in charge there for decades. I was just a little girl when they sent their imperial marines in. They destroyed my old neighborhood. I don't remember the events. I still dream of fire to this day. How'd you get out? Half my family fled to the mountains. The other half left the country and eventually scattered all over the globe. I didn't grow up close to anyone, but my parents were now gone. What's the political situation like? The Japanese have run up against resistance from a group that came to be known as the Hawk Nationalists, Neo-Anarchists, but the resistance ultimately gets its backing from a dragon, Masaru. While the struggling continues, the country can't heal. Could you smuggle yourself in and find your remaining family? No, I couldn't just waltz in and start looking. Besides, my relatives could be barricaded in caves avoiding JIS forces for all I know. Hate to say it, but I don't think they stand a chance against the JIS. She snorts and lifts her chin high. Filipinos are resilient people. I think the hook will triumph eventually, and if I've got a Filipino community around, I'm good. Thanks for talking about it anyway. Not many people care enough to bother. You didn't run too far. Why not leave Hong Kong? I couldn't go back to Manila because of those JIS scumbags, but there's always been a large community of Filipinos in the shadows. I sought them out. How'd you get your cyberware? There's always been a large community of Filipinos in the shadows. I reached out and they all pitched in to set me up as a shadow runner. Now whenever I land a good gig, I give most of my earnings away. Give it back to the community. I don't get why you give away your hard-earned money. Sure, your debt's paid. It's not like paying a debt. Yes, there's always someone asking for a handout. Yet one day it might be me in need again. Who knows when my luck will turn, but I know my community will have my back. Kind of like with taking care of things, so that way when you get like old or decrepit, that someone will be there to take care of you because you took care of them. Hopefully that they'll do it. I could sure use a handout. Don't work that way, chump. Can at least score some fried lumpa. She shakes her head and mutters something about shadowrunners nowadays. I don't want to make friendly conversation. I just want to make friendly conversation if people ever want lumpa. It's shameful. No, you can't have lumpa. You may only desire it from afar. Let's talk about something else. If you like. I should go. She nods at you. Be on your way then. Well, that was pointless. Yeah, it's just backdrop for the world. So let's see. The Mahjong parlor doesn't have anything because the guy will just say, "Do my job," blah 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 blah. So we can skip the Mahjong parlor. Now let's talk to Matthew. A hover drone loiters in front of Matthew. A stream of profanity is spewing from its scratchy speakers. People nearby are looking away, ignoring the awkward situation. Matthew's cigarette is dead, drenched by rain. He stands with his signature nonchalance, but the edges of his face are twitching. His eyes are wide with fear. You could listen in, but you've already got the gist. Matthew is being chewed out. Now let's listen in anyway. A sharp voice emails from the hover drone, interspersed with static cackles. Don't pick up the sails. You're going to be digging dog shit out of treads for a living. You got me? Reliable Matthew stutters a response. Hey, Quang Ha! Come on, beautiful. I've got a half a dozen hot leads coming in just today. Don't give me your cheap hustler stick, loser. If you don't push 10, you and your fuzzy little pals are going to be living in a cardboard box. Don't worry, beautiful. I don't want to hear I only want to hear yes, sir. If I hear anything else, I'm going to pull your eyes down to your ass so you can watch me kick the crap out of you. You hear me? Yes, sir. Matthew's voice is barely a whisper. What was that? He says it louder. Yes, sir. That's better. Now don't screw this up, you damn screw up. The drone speaker finishes with a shriek of feedback and clank back into its hull. The drone soars up into the sky and races off upward river. Matthew shakes himself off. His cheery demeanor surges back with striking resilience. He turns towards you, a little wild-eyed, but otherwise restored to his usual self. Wiggles, I hardly saw you there. Come on in, don't be a stranger, beautiful. Who are you talking to through the hover drone? One of my suppliers, Quang Ha. Really good businessman, sharp guy. Sees opportunity where most of us only see broken parts. Funny guy, makes me laugh my ass off. Quang Ha sounds unhappy. Oh, that's just Quang Ha. He's like a paper tiger. Matthew sways back and forth on his feet, languid and jittery at the same time. He's a big joker, always shouting, but I think he's a real softy at heart. Real big heart for the little people. Keeps me well stocked. What's your business arrangement with Quang Ha? I sell on commission. Gotta keep those bots moving. They don't earn their keep, sitting out in the bars. You don't know most of these drones? Matthew's brows arch up in surprise. Of course not. How can I afford them? I'm so lucky to have a guy like Quang Ha as a partner. Only problem is he's got me laughing in stitches so much it sometimes distracts me from sales. Quang Ha's a funny guy, you say. Yeah, I was laughing my ass off over here. Matthew gives you a long, awkward smile. The seconds stretch out. He blinks uncomfortably. When he speaks, his words sound stilted, like he's speaking a mantra. He's a funny guy. Matthew adjusts his suit lapels with mechanical gusto. Phew, what a pep talk that Quang Ha. I feel like I could take on the world right now. Let's look at the drones. And yeah, he's got new drones for you. You know, he's out. He now has advanced drone kit repair 2, which has 20 HP to your drones. It's a new armor, stuff like that. Obviously, buy whatever useful for your rigger type. You don't really need to buy riggers for Raptor because Koshei pretty much does everything it needs to, and it's a pretty solid companion. So, but yeah, basically the difference between drones is some will be focused on certain types of weapons, or they'll be a drone that can heal you in battle, stuff like that. So, like the old songs say, a droney day is a happy day. All right, bye, Matthew. Yeah, not much for Matthew, just a little extra stuff there. Although the three old men talking have something new. The three men are once again fixated on their game board. Jin rubs his hands together nervously, his face twisted in concentration. It appears that Shu now has the upper hand. The silence of the game is deafening. Amateur players would be filling the air with clicks and clacks of the stones against the wood playing board, relentlessly trying to outdo one another. These men are different. Shu picks up a small black stone. His hand reaches over the board and pauses. Jin stares at outstretched hand. Suddenly still, Shu begins to lower the stone. Down, down. Jin is practically on his toes. And then, Shu pulls back his hand back. Perhaps not there. He strokes his beard thoughtfully. Jin tosses his arm into the air, nearly knocking over the playing board. Damn, Shu! When you start a move, you commit to it! I swear, if you're doing this on purpose... Friends... Lau interrupts the players. We have a visitor. The two players look up. Jin sighs and holds his face in one hand, mutters something beneath his breath. Shu fixes eyes on you. He stares, unspeaking. His generous smile and playfulness from before are absent. Sorry to interrupt. I was just wondering if you are still all having the nightmare, all the dreams. This again. This again. Don't you have anything better to do? Yes, we all still have having the dreams. Lau's voice is calm but troubled. However, they've gotten a hell of a lot worse. Jin shifts uncomfortably. Look, let's not go into details. Anything would be great. He mulls it over. All right, but afterwards you have to let us finish our game. Sure. He nods approvingly, then glances at Lau and Shu before continuing. Our dreams have become unpleasant, so to speak, darker, violent. He runs his hand along his tightly cropped beard. Not all that healthy, if you ask me, especially for men our age. We come out of them in a daze sometimes. Feels like we've been punched in the senses and the imagery. You can see him shiver as he thinks about it. Well, I said no details, so no details. That sums up. Shu, Master Lau. I have nothing more to add, Shu. Shu's eyes bore into you. No, nothing. Is everything alright, Shu? You've been staring at me for a while. Shu continues to stare at you, his face pale. He opens his mouth, closes it. He seems to be struggling to find words.
What's wrong with you, Shu? You better not be having a stroke. We're in the middle of a game.
If Shu heard Jin, he doesn't show it. He looks at you with his eye and his eyes widen. You need to go faster. His voice is urgent, pleading.
The shadows that follow you are getting closer.
Excuse us, Wiggles. Our friend is tired. Lau clasps his hands on Shu's shoulders, who doesn't seem to notice. These days have taken a toll on all of us. Please come back some other time. Sorry, I didn't mean to upset anyone. Enjoy your game. Yeah, there's something going on behind the scenes, but anyway, let's talk to Crafty Wu here, Zhu here. See what she has to offer now. Immediately upon entering, you notice the clutter. Somehow the small magic shop is even messier than before. Stacks and stacks of books occupy chairs, tables, and the tops of shelves. There seems to be even more than when you first visited. It's as if you just entered a paper factory and it's spawning season. You peer around a precariously arranged tower of books and find Crafty hungrily reading one of her mother's journals. Red rings her eyes and tousled hair falls over her face. It looks like she hasn't seen the better part of a pillow in a couple of days. She moves to the stretch and spots you. With a quick flick of her hand, she marks her place on the journal. What a welcome sight. Have you found anything? Not too much. How about you? A slow smile spreads across her cheeks. She nods. This mind-numbing tedium is starting to pay off. Check this out. The dreams that everyone's having, they aren't really dreams. They're omens. From what I've gathered, we're walking a fine line here. They're pretty dangerous. Attempts to interpret them could lead to mixed results. What do you mean, omens? You know omens. Harbingers of doom and gloom and bad things to come. Her mouth twists aside as she thinks. Just a minute. Crafty opens a drawer behind the counter and brings out a dictionary. Clears her throat. Omen, a sign that warns of future events by ways of visions, visionary creatures, hallucinations. She closes the book with a thump. What causes them? Apparently, these sort of portents are commonly linked with malign places and disaster sites. They're caused by leakage through wounds between our world and the astral plane. Okay, great. That means we could seal them, right? I'm not sure we can. At least I haven't found anything about that in my mother's text yet. She lays a hand flat on the countertop and leans forward. We don't want to dive into this haphazardly, Wizzles. Remember, these omens can be dangerous. How are they dangerous? She holds up a finger and starts digging around for another text, and after a moment she locates a small notepad and flips to a dog-eared page. In here it says these visions, or dreams, or whatever you want to call them, are real. They open to interpretations, but interpreting them incorrectly can be disastrous. Astral space is a place of dream logic. Taking the things you see too literally can be even more dangerous than ignoring them. So whatever we do, interpret or ignore, we're inviting trouble. You've got it. The slim chance we have to dig for some sort of meaning is through interpretation, but it's not easy to interpret a dream. It's even more difficult to separate the nonsense from the substance. Can you interpret the dreams? Crafty plucks the notepad on top of a nearby book tower. I can't help you interpret your dreams. Wherever they're trying to impart, it's beyond me. All I can do is keep reading. There has to be something in this library that can help us understand what's happening. Well, we're already making strides. Thanks, Crafty. I do my best. She smiles tiredly, the bags in her eyes exaggerated by the gesture. Let's have a look at your wares. But yeah, make sure to talk to Crafty if you're trying to get the better part of the ending. But yeah, now we have new weapons we can buy. We have Power Bolt 3, which does even more damage. Has to Bolt 3 for your wizard or shaman, and then just second versions of a lot of spells are now available. We also have new armor, which I'll probably eventually buy for myself. Not right this second, but I will buy it. Yeah, Chain Lightning, Thunderbolt 3, you know, stuff like that. Fireball, Flamethrower 3. That's why you don't want to buy weapons at every single level, because sometimes if you just take a couple easy missions, you might be able to save your money to buy like a new ability and stuff like that. So I'll go over that if I buy anything like this, but yeah, it's just a whole new set of spells, and basically buy whatever you feel is appropriate to your playstyle. There are usually certain spells that are better than others, but we also have a new fetish we can buy now for our consumable slot. Willpower of 1 and spellcasting, so I'll buy that eventually. I already bought the Hermetic Willpower 1 from before. And yeah, we got new summon fetishes at a higher level you can buy too, so. But anyway, well, I'll do that later before. We won't be doing a mission today, of course, but. Alright, before we talk to our companions, we'll save that for the next episode. Let's do some cleanup of emails, and let's do go ahead and rest. So let's go to the bolt hole, or sorry, the big Texas, and see what we got in emails. Your workstation mission computer. Okay. We have 3 new messages. So let's open the jobs directory. So claim the payment for the Wampoa garden burners. You submit the job as finished and await the response. A few minutes later, a message pops into the screen. From Conley Chang to us. The Wampoans tell me that they've ousted all of their council of elders, something to do with you exposing their efforts to cover up their own mess. It isn't the resolution I expected, but I think it's acceptable. Anyway, we get 1,400 new yen. That's actually the best result, and it doesn't have to be the way I did specifically. If you do kill Gaichu, you can blackmail the elders to get the same result. It just depends on, but the best result I think overall is saving Gaichu and implicating the elders in the scheme and everything like that. If there's one thing I don't trust, it's people who won't pay for what they owe. Thankfully, the Wampoans are more reliable than Ingene or allies, and so am I. Your payment is attached. All right. Let's see. Back out there. All right, let's go to the Shadowlands BBS and claim the payday for the museum shipping manifest. We get 480, escrow fee 48 off, so we get 432 new yen total. Nice. All right, now let's search the BBS for some info. So we got quite a few things there. I was thinking if I want to do that now or not. Let's do our jobs and then we'll go over the BBS. So give me a second. All right, so got some new messages. Urgent task. This one's actually going to be our next mission, by the way. Urgent task. Little birds have been whispering in my ear about an urgent, high-paying run. Steel Arm Blue, a red pole, managing to get his hands on information concerning a prototype, laser weapons in development by Ares Asia Holdings. For years, the Yellow Lotus and the Red Dragon have been locked in a Cold War. Despite this, we remain evenly matched. Neither one of us can attack the other without being exposed to devastating reprisals. Lou wants to change this, and he has a plan. Rather than strike directly, Lou intends to aim external forces at the Red Dragon, specifically Knight Errant. He intends to frame a white paper fan named Golden Fong, making it appear that the Red Dragon had been bribing Ares researchers for classified data. 2 leading drone and energy weapons researchers have recently transferred from London to Hong Kong and are running this project. Doctors DRS Taylor and Hardingham are respected in Europe, but in Hong Kong they remain unknown quantities. They're untrusted and therefore considered untrustworthy. Perfect targets, in other words. We'll provide data that will make it look as if the researchers were contacted by Golden Fong and made quite a bit of money, but grew tired of the arrangement. Transfer the attached files to a data chip. The files are bundled with a worm program which will auto-execute when inserted into the appropriate systems. You need not bring a Decker, though. One may be helpful. We will, by the way. You will need to plant data in the visitor's record systems, the camera systems in Hardingham and Taylor's lab. Financial data is to be transferred to the Dr. Taylor's personal terminal. That in and of itself will not be enough to ensure Knight Errant involvement. However, planting the data is only the first part of your task. This is where heavier touch will be required. You will also need to steal the prototype laser weapon. There is a GPS tracking device attached to it, which Lou will plant deep into Red Dragon territory. The apparent theft of a prototype weapon by disgruntled Triad members should convince Ares to dispatch overwhelming forces against the Red Dragon, dealing them a vicious blow. As a note, Lou does not care what becomes of the laser weapon. If you wish to sell it or keep it, or feel free. I have also attached a map of your extraction route from the building. During the facility's expansion in 2052, Ares Asia was forced to extend their foundations deeper into the island. They drove piles through the former site of the central MTR station, which partially collapsed during the Douala Bay earthquake of 2044. Practically, this means that they can exit through the basement directly onto the new MTR line through Central. With any luck, you can be gone without anyone knowing. Unfortunately, this route is heavily alarmed, so you will be forced to go in through the front door. If you con the front desk, you should have no problems. The facility is both an office and a residence, so strange people coming in and going at odd hours is not unusual. If you're not to the fast talk, however, be prepared to shoot your way in. Lou does not care if you are loud or quiet, but a word of caution. He came by all this information via the loose lips of one of the research team. Other fixers know of this job. Move fast and you are guaranteed success, but there are definitely other Shadowrunners with an eye on the prize. That's actually true. If you go in last, you actually can lose out on some stuff. So it's actually, as soon as you get this run, it's best to take it as soon as you can. So take the run. Very well. Steel Arm Lou sends his regards and bids you good fortune and plentiful ammunition. The dramatic gift. Don't be die wiggles. Our arrangement has been very profitable so far. I would hate to lose that. Alright, let's check the restaurant job. One of the things I've learned over the years is that even the rich and powerful have annoyances, thorns in the side, if you will. No one is without trouble. The rich are just different ways of solving them. The client for this run has grown tired of one particular thorn in his side, Chang Xing Roos de Lo. Lo is a red pole for one of the smaller triads here in Hong Kong. The 289s are the easy money gang. If you prefer, despite the 289's small stature, Lowe's illegal activities have managed to damage the clan's profits. Mr. Johnson would like you to help him show Lowe the error of his ways. Lowe takes an evening every few months to dine on the Shangri-La restaurant in Aberdeen. If you aren't aware, the Shangri-La is an elite establishment serving primarily corporate clientele from Rouging Incorporated. Because of this, it is not unusual for diners to bring bodyguards or assistants with them. In Lowe's case, he brings a particularly brutish enforcer known as the Talon, and undoubtedly feels well protected. Were you reading the Court of Owls storyline from Batman? You're going to prove just how wrong he is in this regard. You are kidnapped Rooster Lowe. So long as he is alive and in relatively good health, all options are on the table. While keeping the run quiet would make things easier for Mr. Johnson, no one would shed too many tears over a few dead triad thugs. The client has arranged an exit via boat. So long as you can get Lowe from the interior to the restaurant's dock, the client should handle everything else. Despite being a red pole, Lowe is a tactician and not a fighter. Don't expect him to put much of a fight. The talent in the hand is as nasty as they come. Be careful about how you confront him, or things may go very badly. Alright, let's take the run. I've let the client know you've accepted the job. By the time you arrive at Shangri-La, the boat to you will be waiting. Oh, and by the way, I forgot to mention the Ares job. Did you recognize some of the names from it? They should be familiar if you talked with one of your allies. Anyway, job from Isabel. A recording of Isabel pops onto the screen. She stares at the camera and eyes full of intensity. If you're watching this, you decide to listen to my job offer. That's a good thing. I wasn't convinced that you would. Our target is a local decker, a former Wapoan in the Matrix. His handle is Rhombus. He is the software that we need. Unfortunately, he is unassailable from the Matrix, and nobody knows where he lives in meat space, but I know where he's going to be. There's an evening coming up that Rhombus can't afford to miss. He might already be on his way there. As you're reading this message, deckers from all over Asia, white hat and black hats alike, are converging on this Harbor Spires Hotel. This year's Harbor Spires is hosting DeckCon, Hong Kong's largest annual decking convention. Rhombus is going to be there, and that gives us an opportunity to... We're going to hit the convention and find him in meat space and get the software away from him, and we're going to do it quietly. Enclosed, you'll find a copy of the plan that I've worked out for the run, presenting in bullet point format. Everything should be fairly straightforward. Isabel's image winks off the screen, replaced by a blinking cursor. As you watch, the screen begins to fill with lines of simple instructions. I will provide you you and one other runner of your choice with the visitor's passes for the convention. I will proceed ahead of you using my own guest badge. I will hide in the women's lavatory on the first floor. You will enter via the kitchen and procure me a uniform from the catering staff. Please be sure that the size uniform is size 4. We will rendezvous. I will change into the uniform, and using it, I will infiltrate the administrative wing on the 6th floor. You will proceed into the convention hall and wait for the instructions. Using the admin computer, I will identify Rhombus via his guest registration form. Once I have done this, I will let you via comlink. I will upgrade your badge to VIP status and grant you access to the VIP wing of the hotel. You will tell Rhombus that he has been granted VIP status and offer him to escort him to a complimentary hotel room. You will escort him to the room that I designated and hold him there. I will check out of the Matrix and make my way from the admin wing to your room. We will intimidate Rhombus and beat the tar out of him until he gives us the software. We will tie and gag Rhombus, stuff him into a storage closet. We will not be gentle. It's okay if he starts crying. Actually, please prioritize this. I want to see tears. Software in tow, we will make our escape. The glowing text fades and Isabel winks back into the screen. See, it's a simple plan. Just like I said, we should be able to get through it without firing a shot. So, will you do it? Will you help me get the software I need? Take the run. The pre-recording footage of Isabel winks off on the screen. A real-time feed of the Matrix avatar replaces it. Excellent. I knew that I could count on you. Set up Wiggles. It's going to be fun. And that's it for that. So, alright, I'll read the Shadowland BBS next episode. So before that, let's end the episode. Yeah, we got a new job with Isabel, with her thing. So a lot of new jobs activate. So yeah, they're giving us a lot of jobs, different from the previous game where you had a set amount of jobs did them and you got a new set of jobs. Now it's just like the game just gives you a ton of jobs, and then after you do so many jobs, story events will happen and stuff like that. But anyway, let's take a rest for the night and see what our dreams have to offer. You awake with a start. Once again, you're tangled in your sheets, drenched in sweat. Your throat feels like it's on fire. You can't remember what your dreams were about, not precisely, but again you feel that yearning sensation, the emptiness in your gut and in your chest, your heart throbbing. You heave yourself out of bed. Oof. Yeah, it's the same thing, but yeah, make sure to always get rest every time because that affects one of the ending of the game if you don't do it. So, but anyway, it looks like the people around town have their own situation and problems that they're willing to tell us. We got a whole lot of jobs and a whole lot more to do. But what awaits us in the next episode of Shadowrun Hong Kong? What our allies have to tell us, And what does the Ares job really mean to one of our members? We'll find out next time. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you next time. See, I can say next time all the time because it's time. All right, see you later.